Good morning. I have a new company to introduce to Goldfinger Capital viewers this morning. The company is Northern Lights Resources. NLR on the CSE is the symbol. And Northern Lights is a company that I've known existed, let's say, for the last year or so, but I didn't really dive into it until the last week or so, actually, because they put out a news release. What was it, last Thursday, guys?
Yeah.
Last Thursday, basically getting a cash infusion into the company by selling a non-core asset they had in the US. They basically had a net smelter royalty, a 1% royalty that they sold to Torex now. That's closing here in the next couple of weeks, and it gives the company basically a $3 million cash infusion. So really small market cap, really tight trading float, very interesting asset. So we're going to get into it with Bernie Kreft, Prospector, who needs no introduction, project vendor of the two flagship assets in Northern Lights, and the CEO, Luka Capin. So I'll start with Luka. Tell us about Northern Lights and tell us about this royalty transaction.
Yeah, so it's a pretty simple story. Northern Lights, we're an exploration company with 3 projects, 2 in Canada, 1 in the US. Our American project is called Secret Pass. It's a high-grade gold project in Arizona with a pretty compelling data set. Historical drilling, 14,000 meters, with high-grade intercepts, and in a district with 2 producing mines nearby. Our main focus, however, are our Canadian assets, of which we have 2. First one is called Pup. It's a copper gold target in the Yukon, nearby Dawson City, with a large copper soil anomaly. We picked up that property in September of last year for $5,000, and since then have completed a work program for less than $40,000 in exploration spend and brought it to the drill ready stage, which I think really demonstrates that we're a capital efficient and capital conscious company, and that our exploration dollars go a long way. In addition, our flagship asset is called Horetzky, Mount Horetzky. It's a copper target in the Babine Porphyry Copper Belt in British Columbia, nearby several neighboring kind of elephants, including American Eagle's NAC project, which I know both of you obviously are pretty aware of. And it's really the main reason I myself got involved with this company in the first place and kind of dropped everything I was doing to go all in on this company, is because of Horetzky. And a bit of context between those 2 properties, the NAC project and ours, Horetzky. The same group that figured out NAC, that brought it to the drill ready stage and did the reinterpretation of the historical data set, is the same group doing the same thing with Horetzky now. So we see several similarities. I'll let Bernie kind of talk more about those, including a very similar geophysical signature and geological footprint between the 2. And that's kind of a nutshell the portfolio of our properties. A bit about the people. I myself wasn't brought in to pick drill holes. I'm not a geologist. I was brought in to tell the story, be a spokesman for the company, and establish a core group of shareholders and add distribution to the shareholder list, really. And in addition to myself, we brought in Steve McMullen, who is our QP and geological advisor, and he's a director of the company. Steve's a geophysicist who won a PDAC prize for his discovery at Kamoa when he was with Ivanhoe. Kamoa is the 4th largest producing copper mine in the world today. He was also part of the group that helped figure out NAC as well. So we really have the right people doing the right things at this company, and we're very excited to advance our projects and deliver returns for our shareholders. And so to answer your question about the transaction, given our market cap, we were trading at 6.5 cents just before this transaction was announced. We didn't want to dilute our shareholders. We were shareholders first ourselves. We made a commitment to our shareholders to deliver as much value as possible. We thought it would be best to monetize a non-core asset in a non-dilutive fashion, which this NSR sale gave us. So we're very happy. It turns out to about 3 million Canadian, 2.2 million US cash, and it gives us the firepower we need to go and unlock the the value at our properties.
Okay, so 3 million gives you enough to complete a drill program at the, Horetzky project this summer, and it also gives you enough capital to do some exploration work at Pup, or will you actually get a rig there to drill this year?
Correct. We would get a rig at Pup as well.
Okay. Okay. Well, the 3 million goes far in Canada.
Exactly. Yeah.
I make sure the budget gets spent well wherever I can.
All right, Bernie.
Yeah.
So tell us about these projects. So tell us about the Babine project first. Like, how did you come across it, and why is this so interesting?
Well, I forget when, but we, as a group, as a prospecting group, we made a conscious effort to try and acquire as much prospective ground in that belt. And so we picked up NAC, as you guys well know, pretty good project. We also acquired a thing a little bit farther south of NAC called Hearn Hill. It's on right beside the Morrison project. And as part of that sort of regional thing, like, again, we wanted to effectively take over the belt, and it didn't quite work. But I mean, at the north end, we saw NAC, or not NAC, but Hearn Hill. We saw Horetzky at the north end of the belt, and I said to myself, yeah, this is a keeper, right? It had a really nice copper soil anomaly. Geophysically, it looks a lot like NAC. One of the things that kind of stuck out to me from the early stages at Horetzky was the fact that the Meg anomaly is somewhat arc transverse. So the belt itself trends northwest, and the Meg anomaly sort of trends northeast. And typically these arc transverse anomalies are pretty prospective because they occur along or they have a reactivation of existing structures and stuff like that. But so that's what we liked about it. We saw some potential in there, some gold soils in there. And I said to myself, okay, there's a pretty kick-ass copper soil anomaly on it. High enough grades that you would say there's potential for really good mineralization, like right there. And so we picked it up. I was pretty excited for about a month or so. It was like, yay, got another good project. And then the boys and I went out there in the spring after we acquired it, did a little ground visit and said to ourselves, yeah, there's mineralization basically all over the place. So tried looking for a good company that was going to take it farther, and there was Northern Lights.
Interesting. And what year was that?
Oh God, 2024.
24,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So just 2
October
years
of
ago.
24 vended in.
Yeah, I mean, we acquired it in, I think, April or March of 2024, did our preliminary field visit June of 2024, and then started hunting around for a good vehicle to take it and start bringing it along.
Bernie, you've had a good decade here in the 2020s between Banyan, at the Ormac. I think that's where it kind of kicked off. NAC with American Eagle. I mean, they just got a huge check from Eric Sprott. They've got a fortress cash position for a junior.
Yeah.
And they've drilled some pretty nice holes too. They've drilled some long intercepts at NAC. And then, with Sitka, which is gangbusters in 2025. So you're all systems go. Can we make it 4? With the Horetzky. So look,
no, of course.
I know this porphyry belt is very interesting. The Babine Copper Porphyry Belt. This is the northwest extension, like you said. It's adjacent to the Burn project, and the soil anomaly does really stand out to me. And as a porphyry copper guy who really loves porphyry projects and all the cool exploration that happens trying to find these porphyry deposits, soil anomaly is great. That stands out. That's obviously like a bullseye. My question would be, what did the companies that drilled here, like Hecla, find when they drilled, and why did they walk away from it?
Right. I mean, the soil anomaly itself, just to start with the anomaly, it's large, it's intense, it's open-ended, and in the belt, I respectfully suggest it's the best copper soil anomaly in the belt, right? You take a look at the anomalies over some of the southern targets, they're not nearly as good as this. Potentially a little bit of that's got to do with topography. We're a little more cover, or there's a little more cover southern in the belt and stuff like that. But yeah, so Hecla discovered it, I think, in the mid-late 60s, and they started popping some holes in there in the early 70s. And the holes themselves were pretty, I mean, they hit a little bit of copper mineralization in each hole. They hit an alteration assemblage that would suggest they were on the outer edges or the periphery of a system, right? So, I think they drilled, oh God, 8, 10 holes, something like that. And, they hit some mineralization in each hole, but again, the alteration assemblages and just everything, the whole process of exploration, they were working on in the infancies of these porphyry copper booms, and they effectively chased the wrong IP targets. They were chasing chargeability highs, and those are often manifest or occur because they're in the outer periphery of the system again. And so the core, not unlike NAC, the core at NAC isn't as high of a chargeability thing as the outer edges and stuff like that. So the drilling stunk, but it has a lot to do with just bad targeting early. So,
But they did drill into bornite and
oh yeah,
chalcopyrite, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
And chalcocite, right? They had the metal, the metal assemblage is there, right? They have the chalcopyrite, the bornite, the chalcocite, the molybdenite. They've got they've got all the hallmarks of a productive Babine porphyry, but they just, again, the understanding of these things back in the 60s and 70s has changed big time, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Is there any chance you still have that, drill core from the 70s?
Yeah, apparently, like as late as the mid 90s, it was still on the property up where they, close to where they had their camp and stuff. So, I mean, a guy could go there and take a look, but again, ultimately the holes were drilled in the outer edge or the outer periphery of the thing. There was a lot of propylitic alteration, or, sort of textures and things that would suggest propylitic alteration, then phyllic alteration. And really, if you imagine concentric zonings, you got propylitic outer, phyllic getting closer, potassic in the middle, and they were clearly far away from that when they drilled, or where they drilled.
Okay, so I take it that the large soil anomaly that is basically 0.1% copper at surface is not where they. So that's not where they drilled. They didn't drill in the soil anomaly.
Well, they drilled on the outer edge of the soil anomaly, really, and what's happened is when we replotted up the soils and put it over top the magnetics and took a close look at everything, and you put the whole picture together. You don't just look at the soils, and you don't just look at the geology, and you don't just look at the geophysics. And when we put it all together, it was pretty obvious. You could tell the story that they were drilling again out in the peripheries of the system, and the better part of the soil anomaly remained untested. And it coincides with the strongest part of the magnetic anomaly. And I think what chased them off or kept them from drilling down there was the fact that the chargeability wasn't all that great down there. But if you take a look at NAC's a low sulfide system, and the chargeability anomaly in settings such as that can often be, not muted, but not smoking high like you can get out in the peripheries, right? You get these smoking high chargeability anomalies out in the periphery, and then you run off and drill those because you don't understand the system, or the targeting's changed or the methodology's changed. I mean, a lot of back in the 60s and 70s when this was drilled, a lot of the strategies and tactics for exploring these things were in their infancy and have changed a big way.
Okay, so let's talk about this summer and how we explore this project. So this is going to be the first drill program since the 70s here. That's pretty exciting. I mean, in BC, you would think there would have been a drill program done in the last, 50 years when you have a smoking hot copper and soil anomaly like you have here. So tell us about the work that needs to be done. Either of you can take this question, or you can go back and forth. What work, has to be done to get ready for the, drill rig to arrive?
I think we have to arm wrestle in-house a little bit first. I have my own ideas, and Steve has his own ideas, and I'm sure Luka's going to actually say something as well. And, but together it'll be a team effort, and we'll target these things. In my opinion, and in a perfect world, I would like to see some sort of geophysical approach to this thing, right? Again, there's a copper soil anomaly on surface. There's got to be something down below. And the best way to sort of test for that would be an IP survey, maybe a Z10, maybe a magnetotelluric thing. I don't know, the one thing that we have is Steve McMullen, and he's got a pretty good handle on the geophysical world, so he'll know what to do. I would like to see an IP survey over the area southwest of where the historical drilling was, and sort of get some more detail in there, and then pop some holes in there. But you got any thoughts, Luka?
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think a Z10 survey, from what we're hearing from Steve, and some IP is the way that we're going to be going to really build out the model to go ahead and then be ready to drill.
Yeah, I mean, it's in this porphyry exploration game, you got to have your ducks in a row, otherwise you can blow your cap structure apart, and you have drilling gets expensive, and you want to make sure that you're pointing the drill in the right direction when you start drilling, right? So spending a few bucks and taking your time to do a proper buildup of the target is wise.
Yeah, we don't want to use the drill bit as an exploration tool, but rather as a value extraction tool.
Yeah.
You don't want to drill like $200,000 holes as a wildcat program, right?
That's what sort of ignited NAC, is the buildup was done properly, and and the first couple of holes were successes, right? And that was pretty important, right? People can lose hope and faith in the team and hope in the property pretty quickly, right? So you want to make sure it's pointing in the right direction and done properly. And if that means spending a little bit of time and money on a geophysical survey, then so be it. I think that's money well spent.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the sale of the royalty will close here shortly. You'll have the cash in the bank in April. Then you can get the ZTEM and IP done. Is that a May thing, or is that more of a May-June timing?
I think Z10, because of, you need a lot of electrical current. You need I don't know the whole science behind it, but Z10 needs to be done in June. I think IP can be done in June. Most IP service providers are pretty good with providing data, like quick, right? They're on the ball. They're not unprofessional. They're very professional. It's a good business to be in, and they take it serious. So most providers, if you tell them you're time stressed, you can have results pretty well in real time, I would say.
Okay, so you'll have the results of the IP and the Z10 by the end of June, and then you'll be ready to mobilize the drill rig and the crew to site. So tell us about the project, the access. Are we using helicopters here? How big is this program going to be this summer?
Good question. Again, it's still planning. Let's get the geophysics out of the way first, and then we have a better idea on the holes, I would say. I don't know. Do you have any comments, Luka, on that?
Yeah, no, I think we still have to finish the plan, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah. As far as access and stuff like that, there's logging on gosh, 3/4 of the mountain, like the logging's kind of creeping around the mountain on 3 of the 4 sides. In fact, it might be pretty well all the way around the mountain by the end of this summer. But, when the boys and I went out there and did our first field visit, we got let off on the top of the hill and, traversed our way down through the soil anomaly and tried, testing a few little areas. And we walked out, we got picked up on a old logging road, right? So the logging cuts are all over the place. So as far as mobilization and stuff like that, yeah, it's going to be helicopter supported, but with the roads coming right to the base of the hill, it goes quick, right? Like if you've got a good drill contractor and stuff like that, moving a drill goes holy shit fast, right? The first time I saw it, I was impressed, and I don't get impressed too easy, but it was good to see. And we've been doing it for a while. So
okay, so so the access, what I'm hearing is pretty good, but you'll need to use a helicopter for some things, but it's not like you're going to be using a chopper every single day, right?
No, I mean you sling the drill into position, and chances are that, again, if we have a proper geophysical buildup, you might have just a 2-pad program, 4 holes or something like that, or 3 pads, 6 holes. And so you sling the drill to pad 1, point at one direction, point at the other direction, boom, sling the drill to the next pad, boom, boom, and sling the drill to the next one, boom, boom, and out you go. So it goes quick, right? People always worry, and it does get expensive at times, but if you're organized and you've got good local support and stuff like that. And I've talked to a guy, he's in on the background of a couple of my other deals, and hopefully he'll be helping on the geological support end of things out of the Smithers area, and he's a good local guy and he'll know the way.
So the things I like about the Horetzky project are that it's in the right belt. It's in a good zip code, great location. I actually really like the fact that it's seen no modern, drilling. I think that's kind of a, hidden gem sort of thing. And obviously the soil anomaly is super compelling. But you're right, the IP and the ZTEM is going to be super important, because I guess the only thing that I worry about when I see a soil anomaly like this at a porphyry target is I wonder, if it's been eroded, and that's just like the roots of the porphyry is showing up at surface, right? Do you have any comments on that?
Oh, totally. I mean, that anomaly is there, and if I would say anything, the anomaly suggests to me anyways that the thing's uneroded. And again, you don't just look at the soil anomaly, you don't just look at the geology, you don't just look at the geophysics. Again, you compile everything and you put it in, and everything speaks, like the historical drilling speaks towards the propylitic and the phyllic zone, and that's sort of still there and still intact up top, and maybe part of the target's been eroded away, but this thing's a hill, right? Like it's a hill in the middle of a flat plain. You can kind of imagine the old volcanic neck is still there, it's still intact. You've got the soils draping down off the sides, you got geophysically it speaks towards just it's intact or just barely unroofed.
Okay. Very good. So $3 million in the bank here in April from the sale of the royalty. What do you approximate? I know you haven't done the final planning for the drill program and the ZTEM and the IP, but Luka, like, what would you approximate the budget will be this summer?
I think including everything, we'll probably spend 150 or so thousand to drill Pup, and then I think it'll cost us less than $1.5 million to do our full program on Horetzky.
Okay. Very good. So you'll have over $1 million left over for other, expenses, essentially. Okay. So follow up, right? Yeah. Yeah. And also, the best would be the drilling goes great and you expand the program and you spend the full treasury and just do another financing, right? I mean, that would be the best, outcome, right?
At a much higher valuation.
Right,
I
right,
mean,
yeah.
I tell all our investors, new and old. I mean, we're a 6 million market cap with half of that in the bank, so we're a low risk move here for us.
Yeah, so tell us about the market cap, and obviously, I guess the company did not have strong funding prior to the sale of this royalty, so that's obviously one thing to help explain the low market cap. But still, it's extremely low. I mean, 70 million shares out. You're 10 cents a share this morning, so it's 7 million in Canada, but it's also extremely tightly held. There's not a lot of shares floating around. Why do you think the valuation is so low?
Well, I think the biggest, just hearing from investors myself, the biggest kind of concern was always funding. Are you going to dilute down at 6 cents, 7 cents, and issue another 40 million shares or whatever it may be? And I think now what we're seeing with that sale announced last Thursday, we're starting to see a lot more stock trade and obviously the price go up, because I think now we've significantly de-risked this company because we are fully funded to go and extract the value by a drill program. And we spent the last year and a half or so cleaning up the float and really bringing in people and investors that really share the vision and see that we're serious about advancing our properties.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the share structure, if you would. Tell us about who are the largest shareholders of Northern Lights. And then I see there's some warrants out. Tell us about the warrants and what the exercise price on those are.
Yeah, so we've got 68 million shares out or so. A lot, obviously, Bernie is a big supporter and shareholder. A lot of my network has come in and supported. I can name a few people that each own a couple million shares and are really in it for the long term. The warrants, I would say, we did a 10 and 10 deal earlier this year, and that was at a premium to the market. I believe we were at a 7 or 7.5 cent market share price at the time. So it was a premium to the market. The warrant was a sweetener for those investors who decided to pay a premium. And again, it was all primarily our long-term shareholders who aren't in this to make 15 cents, from 7 to 15 cents a share. People that see the NAC story and see that we have a similar asset and believe that this can be the next big discovery in British Columbia.
Okay, so the exercise price on a chunk of the warrants is at 10 cents, is that right?
10 cents, yeah.
Okay. And those are mostly held by your network and their existing shareholders?
Yes.
Okay.
All long-term believers and yeah.
Okay, so and those warrants have an expiry in 2027?
Correct. 2027 or 2028, yeah.
Okay. And then a question just for you, Luka, why do you want to be a junior mining CEO? I mean, you seem like a young, smart guy. There's way better things you could be doing, right?
Well, I mean, I'll just say how I even got involved with Northern Lights in the first place. The group that figured out NAC came to me and told me about the asset after they vended into American Eagle. And I had the opportunity to buy as much stock of American Eagle at 2 cents, 3 cents that I wanted. And I passed on it, but then I watched it go from 3 cents to 30 cents in a single day. And today it's a $200+ million company at $1.20 or $1.30 a share. So when that same group came to me again a year later or whatever it was and said they have a very similar property in the same belt as NAC, they just put into Northern Lights, I didn't hesitate to get involved and start buying stock because I didn't want to miss out this time, because I saw the way this group did things. And so, I started buying stock myself. I was setting up meetings for the company myself, just as a shareholder, being excited about the project. And then when the opportunity arose for me to take a formal role at the company, you know, I didn't hesitate to get involved, and I just kind of dropped everything I was doing to go all in on this because I truly believe that we have something special here. And yeah, I hope that kind of answers the question.
So this is your sole focus,
Correct. Yeah.
and it's your largest, investment.
Correct.
Okay, very good. All right, I like that. Bernie, let's go back to you. Tell us about the Pup project in the Yukon.
Yeah, again, you know, the boys and I, we run a private prospecting group. We do, we have a big portfolio, and we try and prune the portfolio and bring in new stock every year. And Pup, I think we brought into the company in 2023, something like that. But it was a local placer miner guy had identified a soil anomaly on the road down to his placer mine, and he wasn't able to take it anywhere. And so we staked that up and expanded on it. It was a, you know, and it's kind of an oddity because it's in the Klondike, and the Klondike's had a pile of people go through it. Right, that the Klondike's been run through a big time, and you know, finding something like this on the ground, basically it's undiscovered, right? And you know, so we had a soil anomaly, we expanded the soil anomaly, we went into the soil anomaly, did some hand trenching, coming out with a pile of copper, you know, malachite, ozurite, mineralized oxides everywhere. It's a great little discovery. And again, with the road there to the placer mines, there's 2 mines just down below us and stuff like that. You know, but we always struggled with the geological targeting. Like, what is this thing? It was hard to kind of get a handle. Historical guys had looked at it as a VMS, and I'm like, this ain't no VMS. So what is it? You know, and we did a little bit of thin section work this fall. It looks a lot like, you know, the Minto Copper Belt, Selkirk Copper Mines, Cascadia with their Carmax Copper Project, that sort of thing. Looks like one of those. So, you know, and it's just, it's a great, like a great access, great location. You know, it's going to be pretty cheap and easy to develop. Like Luka was saying, I think we can get a drill program in completed top to bottom, you know, not a big one, but, you know, say 600 meters or something like that for 150 grand. So.
Yeah, so for people that don't know the Yukon very well, there's parts of the Yukon that are really hard to get to, and then there's parts of the Yukon that are really easy to get to, and this would be the one of the easy ones because it's near Dawson City. Yeah. So literally you just fly into Dawson City, and then you get in a truck and you drive to this, you know, this project where you have these showings at surface. So you got malachite and azurite at surface here at Pup. What the heck is this doing in the Klondike? I mean, it's yeah, it does strike me as a weird project.
Yeah. Well, you know, sometimes you just gotta, all too often people try and pigeonhole their exploration, right? And you want to, you know, oh, we're looking for porphyry here, we're looking for epithermal here. Well, hey, you know what? Let's not pigeonhole ourselves. Let's keep an open mind. And you know, like I do believe it's part of that trend all the way from, again, Carmax copper, Minto copper. As you start heading to the northwest up the belt, you know, you're going to run into the battery metals spinouts from White Gold Resources and stuff like that. And they've got a couple of projects in their portfolio that are kind of somewhat analogous. And so you got this belt in its very infancy. Like, think of it as the Babine Porphyry Belt back in the 50s and 60s when people were just going, hey, there's porphyry copper out here. Well, you know, we've got early mover status. We're at the north end of the belt, and I think we've picked up one hell of a little target, right? I mean, it's got a nice soil anomaly, and we'll be able to drill this thing cheap. So
are you seeing any veining in the rocks at surface? Like, what's the, you know, texture?
It's just think of it as potentially a metamorphosed or a remobilized copper porphyry. Right? There's a regional sort of compression event. There's been thrust faulting and stuff like that. And sometimes these things sort of remobilize the copper, concentrate the copper into rocks. And effectively, we're just seeing a typical schist like you'd walk over in any number of places in the Klondike. We're seeing the same, just a basic schist type unit with disseminated fracture controlled foliation planes. There's the odd little quartz vein, but it's certainly not a big quartz vein story. It's more of a disseminated, definitely a bulk tonnage thing. And like I was saying, the boys and I, we've been through with pick and shovel, and we fail to miss, which is like every time we go out there with a pick and shovel, it's laborious, and you're digging these 3, 4, 5 foot deep holes and stuff like that, and trying to get rock out of the bottom. And it's not always easy, but we don't ever fail to hit something, right? So we've gone in there, we've dug, I don't know how many little hand pits and stuff like that. And we're coming up with stuff out of every pit. So it's good.
Okay, so there's a lot of copper at surface here at Pup.
Yeah.
A couple more questions here. So it sounds like the first pass drill program will be pretty cheap and easy. Are we talking like 6 holes of like 100 meters each, like very shallow holes?
Yeah, I mean, I think my original thinking was 8 holes, 75 meters. Rock up with a little RC drill and go pop, 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 and bounce, right? As you think about it a little more, maybe, and then to sort of maximize the drill and what a guy can drill in a day. And so if you want to drill 75 meters, it might take you a day and a quarter. And if you want to drill 60 meters, you can get that done in a day, and it speeds up the process. So I think, my more recent thinking is instead of 8 holes at 75, 10 holes at 60 or something. But we just really, what we want to do is get a depth test below the zone of surface oxidation. There's a lot of cover, there's trees and dirt, unglaciated. So, the anomaly is localized and at source, right? So that's not the issue. It's just the issue is that there's soil, built up over hundreds of thousands of years, and just kind of got to get down through that, right? So we're probably going to start with a little trenching program, cut some trenches into the forest, and but yeah, no, it's last fall we expanded the property. We found a couple other zones, so there's more than one, right? We've got a gizmo zone, a pedal zone, and a couple other little things starting to take shape, and looking good.
Okay, so the Horetzky is the main event in 2026 for sure, for Northern Lights.
Yeah.
But the Pup is a nice sideshow that might be able to give some good news and
Like,
maybe a surprise.
Be the sleeper.
Sideshow Bob.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you never know though. Like, these exploration is a fickle mistress, right? And she comes and she goes, and where you think you're gonna have success sometimes never works out, and it's serendipity rears its head, and off you go in a different direction. And as long as you're able to react and respond accordingly, it could be that if we do another interview here in a year's time or something like that, or 3 months time even, 3 months time, a lot is probably going to change. We'll have May, June, July. Yeah, we'll probably have results back from geophysics at Horetzky. We'll have results at least starting to hopefully pop in at Pup, and the direction of the company needs to change as the results roll in, right? We have a game plan, but the plan only lasts until contact with geology and nature, right? So you can sit in the office all you want, but as time progresses in the field, the plan invariably changes, right? So, but
Yeah,
that's
of course.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, but it's still, this is a nice 1-2 punch for summer 2026 for a 7 million market cap company on the CSE with a pretty clean share structure. So that's why I like the Northern Lights setup right here, right now. I bought stock Thursday last week. I bought more stock yesterday. I'll probably buy more stock in the next couple of weeks. But one more topic to talk about, the Secret Pass Gold Project in Arizona. So this is in Mojave County, Arizona, near Kingman. This is an area of the country I actually know pretty well. I've been to the Moss Mine. I've been to a few other projects out here in Western Arizona. Tell us a little bit about the Secret Pass. I know this is kind of a sleeper third project, sort of non-core, but I think it's very interesting.
Luka, or do you want me to jump in?
Yeah, I can just say a little bit here, and Bernie, you can jump in. A compelling historical data set. It's in the Oatman-Katherine district, 14,000 meters of historical drilling with some high-grade intercepts, I think including 16 grams per ton over 32 meters. And interestingly enough, there were two, including the Moss Mine, there were two mines that were in care and maintenance, but with the district heating up and obviously gold doing as well as it has been over the last year and a half, those mines have come back into production in 2025. So it's an interesting project in a good district, and I think it's a great asset. And Bernie, if you have anything else to kind of touch on the more technical side.
Yeah, I mean, I took a little breeze through the data when I started getting involved in Northern Lights. I mean, I don't want to call it a legacy project because that would be a disservice to the thing. I mean, it's got some great numbers and stuff like that. But I would say the focus is going to be on copper and gold in Canada. And but still, that doesn't mean the company can't get value and good value out of something like this, right? Active mines in the area, an epithermal style target. Sometimes these things get a lot bigger. Epithermals are kind of capricious by nature, and again, not unlike exploration as a whole, you never know what you're going to get. So this thing, while it's good right now, it could become great. I don't know. You just have to kind of, as a new person into the company, you kind of have to develop a love for the property, and then, a passion for the property, and then stuff like that. But, I see it as being another arrow in the quiver for the company, right? So,
yeah, I mean, some of these results from 2021 drilling, I mean, if you drilled these fresh today at this valuation, it would get some torque for the share price. But like 1.61 grams per ton over 66 meters from 64 meters down hole. Including 10 grams over 7.4 meters. Then another one was 0.86 grams per ton gold over 170 meters. Another one was 0.95 grams per ton gold over 103 meters. And relatively shallow drilling in the American Southwest. These are
direct
drill results.
Direct shipping, like you could potentially, well, maybe not. Yeah, I think the Moss Mine, or what's the close mine?
Yeah, the Moss Mine.
Moss Mine, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is there a reason why you couldn't direct ship out of here, right? Road access, bang out.
I'm gonna have to send this. I'm gonna have to send this interview to Mako Mining.
Yeah. Yo, Shark Kids, we've got a deal for you.
There you go.
Yeah. So the Secret Pass. I mean, when I looked at this, I was like, well, the whole market cap is justified by this Arizona project that they're not even drilling this year. But okay, so
don't say that. Don't say that.
Maybe. Yeah, I might be a little speculative in saying that. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I'm wrong. I'm wrong often. So exciting times here, April 2026. I'm really happy to have you guys on for, this introductory conversation to Northern Lights. And yes, we will definitely do it again in 3 months, Bernie, because I want to talk about the IP and the ZTEM, and I want to talk about the drill rig mobilizing to Babine Porphyry Belt and also the Yukon.
Well, let's just hold it at that. What I would say is that maybe what's going to happen is we're going to get the geophysical wizardry there at Horetzky done and come out with some anomalies that maybe we get a well-heeled option partner in. Who knows? I mean, the Babine Belt is notorious for attracting big companies with deep pockets. So, you know, if we can
Yeah.
get the geophysical wizardry done, we got Steve McMullen on team. He's going to be great for that. And, you know, maybe we can make a map that tells Tech or South 32, hey, you know, it's not just at NAC, we're up here at the north end, you know, and that would be a good outcome as well. And then they can, you know, figure out a way to finance and do the drilling themselves.
Or maybe you get a third major in there. So South 32 and Tech are already in there. Maybe you get a third one in there to make it really spicy.
Bulletin and Freeport both know the area.
Right. Yeah. Freeport. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Bulletin and Freeport. So, I mean, that could be, I mean, we could go out to Pup, hit 60 meters, 0.75% or 1% copper at Pup and have a nice geophysical anomaly, right? Out at Horetzky that gets a major in, and then direct ship some ore to the Moss mine, and Bob's your uncle.
Yeah.
All right, that's a good plan, Bernie. Yeah, you know, let's execute that plan. So, you know, Luka, I'll give you the final words here, the parting shots. What do we need to know?
Yeah, no, just appreciate you having us on. Look, we're a 6.8 million market cap today with $3 million in the bank, with two very exciting Canadian properties and an American property that we are going to advance, and we are fully funded to do so. And we've got the legendary Bernie Kreft, who, I mean, his properties speak for themselves, and we're very excited. We think we have a long way north to go.
Thank you, gentlemen. Cheers.
Thanks so much, Robert. Cheers.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks. Bye-bye.